Hi, I'm Laura Rolfe, host of Powered by Franchising and CEO of Mint Franchise Consultants. I am very fortunate that I get to go visit some of our outstanding franchise locations periodically. I was recently in Denver and got to meet our next guest, Karyn White, in person and enjoy the services of Spavia Day Spa at two different locations. So I'll talk more about that as we get into the show. But first, I want to welcome Karyn to the show. Welcome.
Hey, Laura, thanks for having me.
Good to see you. It was a pleasure to meet you when I was in Denver. That is where you have multiple locations for Spavia Day Spa. And your team was amazing. Your spas are beautiful. And I would like to be a Spavia Day Spa owner in Phoenix.
Okay.
So we'll talk more about that, but I do want to share with our listeners a little bit more about what makes Spavia Day Spa so special. Can you elaborate a little bit about the services and the Spavia Day Spa concept for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first, I just like to share that Spavia is in our 20th year. We are a founder-led brand by Marty and Allison Lingaford, and they are still heavily involved. Spavia is all about affordable luxury. We want to bring the resort experience to communities at an affordable price. So, what you would get at a high-end day spa, Spavia offers that in local communities.
Well, terrific. So I believe you have 60 locations across the United States, lots of availability, including the Phoenix market. Each of your spas, it has that affordable luxury, the special touch. They're themed. I got to go to the rainforest themed location in Denver. And I love the special touches of the tranquility, relaxation room, the services, and the special touch. When the founders continue to expand, what are some of the things that are most important then appealing to the clients that use the services at Spavia?
Yeah, so we are known for exceptional guest experience. This is in our DNA. We do a lot of training. It starts with even just with our language and how we greet a guest when they come in. But just to kind of create a picture with Spavia, so when you schedule a treatment, you're going to get a form and it's going to ask you what kind of music do you like? What's your conversation level? Do you want scented lotion? So it's a very personalized experience because my wellness journey is not the same as yours. And so within that space of coming into the day spa, you receive a spa robe, spa sandals. There's a beautiful retreat space that guests get to utilize before and after their treatments. But one of the things that I think is really special within Spavia is the variety of treatments. Of course, we have massage, facials. We've been doing that since day one, but we also have body and beauty treatments. So body wraps. We also do waxing, sunless tan, lashes, and brow services. And so within that space, we want to create the day spa experience, but an affordable price, as I mentioned. But I think what's special is, again, that exceptional guest experience. That's something we pride ourselves on to deliver to every guest every time with a consistency.
Yes, and they pay attention to that. So when I received my body wrap last week, I filled out that form and I like some tranquil piano music, beach sounds in the background, running water. I had that. I wasn't sure what to expect with the lotion, scented or unscented. So when I arrived at the spa, I hadn't filled out that portion of the questionnaire, and that was not overlooked by the team that greeted me at the front desk. They said, you know, we've got these different scented lotions, and I asked them what their favorites were, and they told me what the most popular ones were, and so I was able to select a scent that aligned with just my peace and tranquility for the evening, which was amazing. Um, and then they offered me tea or water, and just, you had I think a heated neck wrap that I put around after I got changed into my robe. It was so peaceful. Um,
Aromatherapy pillow. Yes, that's
yes.
aromatherapy pillow.
It smelled lovely. So you have franchisees all across the U.S. So tell me a little bit about what an ideal franchise owner might look like with Spavia.
Yeah, we have 60 locations open. One of those is a corporate location, and we're in 26 states. And so, who are we looking for, kind of as a ideal Spavia franchisee? We have franchisees that come from either one's a chemist, one's a VP from Starbucks, a CPA, a lawyer, but they all have really a couple specific things in common, and that is leadership and passion for people. This is a service-based industry. We are constantly trying to exceed guest expectations. So really having that passion for people, and then your team. Your team is an extension of you, and that leadership, culture, and really driving that connection within the community are real key things for a successful Spavia franchisee.
Now, does the franchisee need to be involved in the day-to-day operations of the business? What is a typical role of a franchisee? Is there, I know it looks different when you're starting versus after you have a more mature location.
Yeah, it's such a great question. So we have a couple of different structures. One is a manager structure, and we have a lead structure. In the beginning, we highly recommend franchisees do the lead structure, and this really allows them to learn the business. Doesn't mean you have to be in the spa every day, but really learning the business, because you can't manage something you don't quite know yet. But I would say, driving results, making sure your team is, delivering that exceptional guest experience, schedule optimizations, inventory, and community engagement. That's really where we want our franchisees to focus.
So, how does Spavia help with the onboarding process for new franchisees who may not have spa experience or background?
Yeah, I love that you asked this. So, about 95% of our franchisees do not have spa experience. And so we start with a pretty extensive training and onboarding program. And one of the beautiful things is when they come through the discovery process with me, we're already kind of talking about some key points that we're looking for. That exceptional guest experience, Gene, passion for people, leadership. So by the time they get to our Meet the Team Day, they really kind of have a vision of who we are and what this would look like for them in the business. But once franchisees sign their agreement, they're assigned a launch coach to help them through the entire process. We have a strong partnership with a real estate company to help kind of guide that, get that space located to go to build out. But your launch coach is going to do step by step with you until you open. And then once you open, you actually transition to your business coach, which really honestly will be with you the duration of your franchise agreement when you're with Spavia to help drive those results, help KPIs, set goals, and really kind of be that person to celebrate you when things are going well and support you when you're having challenges.
And so the training, it takes place in Denver, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have our Meet the Team Days here in Denver, Colorado. We
Mhm.
also do in-person training here at Denver. But there is, executive sessions with our leadership team. You'll have HR training sessions, marketing, operational. And then we do come to your spa for grand opening and specialist training. So lots of hands-on, in-person, and virtual.
Well, one of the reasons why people look at franchising is because they're in business for themselves, but never by themselves. And I'm often asked, well, Laura, the spa space is a little bit crowded, and what are the differentiators, and how do I market and attract clients that are eventually going to become members of my Spavia Day Spa? How would you answer that, Karyn?
I actually like this question because Within Spavia, there's not a lot of competition in the franchise space, right? Because we are affordable luxury and we bring that day spa experience, we're experiential, right? So, yes, there's other massage concepts and other facial concepts and other waxing concepts, but we offer that kind of under one roof. And so we kind of are niche in this space for what we do within business ownership, but also franchise space. But as far as how to kind of attract that guest experience, we have a whole marketing team. And honestly, I could probably go into um, lots of depth about our marketing team, but I want to kind of keep it. I know I want to keep it high level because I
Yes.
love our team. But really, we want to drive that new guest into your spa and conversion to membership, and we have a lot of tactics to do that. In the beginning, we're going to have a 16-week marketing plan. You need those founding members. We need to drive that excitement. We have a PR company to help you, with Chamber of Commerce and local news coverage. But really, at the end of the day, driving them into the spa is the number one because once they experience it, we have a pretty good conversion rate and they want to become members and continue to come.
Yes. Well, I want to become a member, and I'm going to be in Denver a couple more times for a wedding. My niece is getting married. And so I'm like, how can I do this? And so I liked that you do offer different membership levels and different lengths of membership. So there's lots of opportunities if somebody wants a very extensive membership. There's that option. If you want a simple, basic, get either a massage or facial on a monthly basis, you can do that type of membership. So you offer a lot of variety, not only in the services that you provide in the spa, but also in and how people can utilize Spavia.
Yeah, how to capture that guest wherever they're at. Yeah.
Can you walk me through for any of our listeners who are interested in learning more about Spavia Day Spa and becoming a franchisee, what does your discovery process look like? What should people expect?
Yeah, so really, our first call is to just get to know you. What is your why? Why are you looking into business ownership? What kind of draws you to this space? And we'll kind of just lay out what's to come and, really when you'll get the information that you're going to get. But then we'll do a series of calls together, all on Zoom, because I want you to get to know me and I want to get to know you. But really, high level culture. Leadership team, where the brand is going, the strength of experience that comes with that. And then we'll go over, real estate support, marketing, training, onboarding. We'll review the financials. We'll also deliver a unit economics workbook, right? So that you can start thinking about your performa model. Speaking with franchisees, validation is probably the most important part in this process. And I'll connect you one-on-one to have conversations with franchisees to really validate and understand their experience and successes. Of course, that's all leading to our Meet the Team Day, and we'll probably spend about 4 to 8 weeks together, depending on your timeline, how quickly you want to move.
Well, excellent. Well, I also like to paint the picture for our listeners of what success might look like with Spavia. And when we met last week, you were talking about your Reno, Nevada Spavia Day Spa owner. And I used to live in Reno many, many moons ago. Both my kids were born there. So I was very eager to learn more about her story. Share a little bit more about what she's done to create success in the Reno market.
Yeah, so she is a powerhouse with building teams. Her team will walk through fire for her, and that is that culture piece. We actually have a video of her saying, "I'm building a team that's an extension of my family," which at the end of the day. Particularly in the spa space, like massage therapists, estheticians, they want somewhere they feel like they can belong. And so she has really built that team of strength. We actually have another one in Sparta, New Jersey, which is a little bit of a smaller market. She set the record of the most members within 3 months. And that is truly, she dove right into her community, connected, engaged, followed the process, which is very strong
Important. Yes.
on how to bring those founding members, retention. And if it's all right, I'll just give a little quick example.
Yes.
For example, we have a boutique part of our spa that drives pretty strong revenue and really good margins. And we have a whole process on how to get those boutique sales, right? For example, after the esthetician is finished, a lot of times they'll say, we recommend this product, in between your facials. And the guest is like, oh yeah, that's great. And they go out to check out, and then they say, oh, my esthetician recommended something, but I don't remember what it is. I'll just get it next time. That's okay, right?
Hmm.
But we have a whole process where the esthetician will fill out a form, bring it to the guest advisor up front. The guest advisor pulls the product, right? And it's sitting in front of the guest and saying, I know that your esthetician recommended this. Were there any of these you wanted to take home with you today? Um, and it sounds simple, but the franchisees who follow the process have the strongest revenue, and the strongest team.
Well,
I know that was long-winded. Sorry. Thanks for.
I will say that that process works. So, I was in Denver last week with my son, and he was introducing his girlfriend to the family, and so it's getting a little serious. And my son he was running, he's preparing for a marathon, so his girlfriend and I decided that we would go to one of the Spavia locations. She'd never had a facial or a massage, so I'm like, well, we got to fix that. And so we went to your downtown location, and she enjoyed a facial, which she absolutely loved. She's going to become a regular of getting facials. And when we were ready to check out, there were her products sitting there at the front counter. And so Alyssa had the opportunity to take a look at the products, and she's normally is a drugstore kind of facial product kind of girl. So it was nice that she understood the value and the benefits of the quality of products that were available at the Spavia Spa.
Yeah. Yeah, so kind of circling back to, the success of these franchisees, when they build strong teams, they follow the process, and they engage in their community. And I'm not trying to say that it's as simple as that, but there are some really key components that have driven our most successful franchisees to the highest performers.
So another question that I'm often asked is like, how many employees are needed for the model? How do you get employees? How do you retain these amazing employees that create this culture and this keep the clients wanting to come back? So how would you answer that question, Karyn?
Yeah, so in the beginning, you start off with about 10 to 12 employees between your estheticians, massage therapists, and guest advisors, which is your front of the house. We do quite a bit of training on the HR piece, one, building that team culture, but where to find them, how to retain them. So one of the things we'll do before you open, during your launch stage, is we're gonna recommend you connect with all of your local massage schools, cosmetology schools, start building relationships, shop your competition. What are they paying? What are their experience? And then what happens is when you do hire someone, they go through the Spavia Way training. Yes, they're licensed and certified, but we have kind of and then maybe you can speak to this, Laura, but there is this Spavia way. It's a little special on the treatments and how we do it. And the feedback from estheticians and massage therapists is that they like it. They feel good about what they're doing. They feel part of something. So within that, we have quite a bit of training to help you retain and keep your team engaged along the way.
Well, excellent. So I like that, again, you're never alone in your franchise journey once you decide to move forward with becoming a franchisee of Spavia Day Spa. You're there to support them with the marketing efforts, the how to get involved in your community, hiring your team, finding the real estate, everything that you need to launch a successful business. There's so many franchise options available. Last I heard, there's about 4,000 franchise opportunities. So you'd said about 95% of your franchise owners didn't have any health and beauty backgrounds. So what attracts people to look at Spavia Day Spa?
Well, I think a couple of things. One, the wellness space is always growing, right? We know that it's always, especially in the franchise, it's always been an upward trajectory. We've seen a significant growth since 2020, and specifically in the spa segment because people want more experience. And this is so neat for Spavia because we're experiential. But when you think of kind of why people come to us, one, they want something that feels good. We actually recently had a gentleman join our franchise system. He was a dentist, very high performer, has his own practice, and said, nobody ever wanted to come and see me. And he wanted to start a business where people wanted to come. It makes people feel good, right? No one's like, I can't wait to go to the dentist, right? But they can't wait to go to the spa. And I think so kind of like at first people think, oh, massage, facials. I want to be in the beauty industry, but I'm not quite sure, right? But Spavia is such a good fit because we cover so many bases, kind of that one-stop spa shop for communities and guests, and revenue streams for franchisees. And so I think when people are looking for health and wellness, Spavia really is a unique opportunity within that space.
Well, my son was a little bit jealous when I told them about the remedy room at your urban location in Denver. He is a runner, and so knowing that you have cold plunge and compression boots, the red light therapy and sauna, he's like, that's right up my alley. He could see himself taking advantage of those services. So I like that it feels like Spavia is continuing to innovate and attract all different types of people, not people that are simply looking for a massage and facial like me, but to help with longevity and with their overall well-being. What are some of the other ways that Spavia continues to innovate?
Yeah, first, I love that you're bringing this up because I want to talk a little bit about Spavia and then Sway by Spavia. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So in 2020, we Spavia launched their design options, right? So, of course, the mountain, coastal, vineyard, all the different designs that franchisees get to choose from that fits kind of their preference and their market. So for, what fits in California, what fits in New York to our Kansas City locations. It's all a little bit different. So being able to choose that is really unique in the space. But then we realized that there's a whole generation of spa goers that we weren't quite capturing because they weren't in those suburban areas. And I'm just going to go on the limb here. I'm not sure how old your son is, but I'm sure he's somewhere within the millennial age group. Um, can I say that? Is
Yes.
that the
Yes.
word correct? Okay. And so the millennials is this whole nother generation of spa. So, I
Yes.
have three teenage boys. When I was a kid, we didn't even talk about the word spa or wellness, right? This next generation is really talking about this. And so within these designs, within Spavia, we realized we needed to capture this next generation of spa goers, of wellness. And so this is where Sway came in, Sway by Spavia. And this is really our urban design. And we also wanted to do different things that resonate with that age group, but also honestly my age group. I would absolutely go use that remedy room. And so we are testing some things that will go into Spavia's, but really the urban design, we have about 15 target markets that we're going to focus on to bring Sway by Spavia. And then of course the expansions with the Spavia within the suburban markets.
Yes, well, and I love that you have different designs based on the communities and how big of a market it is. So I'm in Phoenix, and Phoenix is, I think, the fifth largest market in the country. So plenty of room for several Spavia Day Spas. There's a couple of places that come to mind for Sway by Spavia. Downtown Scottsdale, where we're broadcasting from right now. I think it would be ideal for the urban design. So when I went to the first location on Quebec Street, I forget, it's Town Center, it was kind of an unusual space, but you utilized that space very, very well. You had your design team work with the franchisee and the owner of that space to create a well thought out, well planned, comfortable luxury spa experience. And that space was very, very different than Sway by Spavia downtown, which was very hip and cool and urban.
Yes.
So I like the flexibility that you have there.
Yeah, and if you were to visit one of the other locations that's a coastal design, they would have already, they would have felt a little bit different. They all are Spavia, which means, luxury experience, um, resort spaces in some type of way, right? The same treatments within that wellness space and the exceptional guest experience, right? The bones of who we are, that DNA of service. So yes, you would probably have had a whole nother experience had you gone to a coastal one as well, as far as the feel of it.
Well, that's my next visit.
Perfect.
Uh, um, so, what else should our listeners know about Spavia Day Spa in, if they're looking at franchising, specifically in the health and wellness space?
Yeah, I always tell people numbers are important, right? You want to know the numbers, you want to know success, you want to speak to franchisees. But I think it's really important to know, who's leading the company and where are they going, and how do you feel about having in a contract with them for the next 6 to 10 years. It's 10 years, but maybe there's an exit strategy of resale or whatever it is. But who are you working with, and how do you feel comfortable within that partnership? And so I mentioned being a founder-led brand. Actually, Emily, Marty, and Allison's daughter is very involved with Sway. So this is a family-run business that will go on to generations. And I think when you're thinking of what kind of company do I want to be a part of, one, where's the heart of the company? Where are they going? And how do they deal with change and innovation in the industry? And I think you answered that. And I mentioned a little bit about kind of the designs and our urban, but I think it's important to know that with at least within Spavia, there's a lot of trends, right? There's a lot of things that come and go in the market, and Spavia does not hop on those trends. One, we want to stay true to who we are, but we also want to innovate with data and analysis. What is going to stick around? What is the return on investment for franchisees? Training, equipment, right? We want to make sure we're caring for our franchisees, as well as driving results within the industry. Um, I hope that answers your question a little bit, Laura.
Absolutely, absolutely, it does. Yeah, it's a $19 billion health and wellness industry. People are continuing to invest in themselves. We want to look good. We want to feel good. We want to get the relaxation so we can be better in our daily lives. And so it attracts great clients and customers for that are going to be longtime members. So those are all very attractive to franchisees. And certainly if any of our listeners are interested in learning more about Spavia Day Spa, we can have a conversation. I can share more about my experience at two of your locations, and just love working with you, Karyn. Very welcoming and warm, that Spavia way, just part of the family. And then you'll learn more about the investment for Spavia. You will learn more about what franchisees are making, which are very impressive numbers in the business, and that your franchisees are really, really happy. They feel heard, they feel supported, and they're part of the family.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because we just had 5 franchisees since the beginning of the year renew their 10-year contract, which I think is such a testament, right? Of saying, this has been a great 10 years and now I want to do 10 more. So,
Yeah, when you, I do like to talk about exit strategy, because we're not always going to own our businesses. At some point, we might want to retire, travel, do other things. So we do talk about, is your exit strategy in 6 to 10 years? Are you creating a legacy for your family that your kids may be involved with at some point, or are no indefinite plans to exit? 5 renewals this year speaks volumes about how vested the franchisees are in the owning the brand.
yeah, no, I love that. I love that. What do you find to be, may I ask a question? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
What do you find to be kind of, obviously we talk about numbers and super important. You want to know, the validation of the business, but what do you find to be kind of some value points, and, the clients you work with?
Well, so one of the things about Spavia that I like that I'm going to be sharing with more candidates is that you are a family run, forward facing franchise system. You're not owned by venture capitalists. You're not, you don't have 12 other brands that are competing for the attention of the big corporation. And so your franchisees are, they're not a number. They're part of the family. So if somebody needs something, I'm sure that they can contact any number of other franchisees or their business coach or other members of the Spavia leadership team. And I think that's a big value proposition. The fact that you're innovative in the Sway by Spavia in downtown Denver. Not only do you have the remedy room, but you also had a robotic massage table. I know it's the only one in the country currently, but that was pretty cool. And so I want to check that out. I shared that with my mom and my son, and they thought that was really cool. So I think innovation and adding services. So while you started with massage and facials as your core services in when you were founded over 20 years ago, you've added body treatments and eyebrow waxing and eyelash lifts. So you've added some additional services that are meaningful for the guests, and those also lead to additional revenue generating opportunities for the franchisees. You have a lot of add-on services, which are again benefits to the clients, but also added revenue opportunities for the franchisees. Your front area where you have retail products available, how you are talking about how are you making it easier to say, yes, I want these products by training and teaching your team members to do it the Spavia way. I think those are critical to the success. So I think those are all value propositions for the business. And so I look at those. I take pride in going and visiting as many franchise locations as possible so that I feel like I can talk well about the culture and the fit and does it align with what my client is looking for. And I'm very happy to present Spavia Day Spa to anybody who's interested in the health and wellness and beauty industry.
Yeah, I love that you could pitch my brand. I love this.
Well, that's
Well,
my
one,
job.
you experienced it, which is huge. But
Hmm.
second of all, and I'm really moved that you see that culture piece, right? Like a lot of, times people are investigating a brand and trying to understand, and culture of a brand is key in leadership. And that's something that can sometimes be overlooked.
Absolutely. So, I talk about differentiators, and I represent more than 800 different franchise brands, but that doesn't mean I recommend all 800. I have a handful in different categories and different industries that speak to me, and the ones that I feel like I would be confident in investing in the Spavia Day Spa brand if I were looking at business ownership. And the brands, I think it's important, like if I would invest in it, then I feel confident that I would show that to a candidate and that if they follow the process of discovery and have conversations with you, review the franchise disclosure document, do the validation with current franchise owners, and then they meet the team and you extend an offer to franchise with Spavia, that they're going to make a solid decision to move forward with your brand.
Hmm. No, I like that. I agree. And I will tell you, we I work very closely with Marty and Allison, our founders. We know who we're looking for. It's not a requirement, but I would just like lastly to share about our passion for people. We're a very
Mhm.
philanthropic company. We have a Spavia Cares program that us as a national team, we give back regularly to our community here in Denver. But we make a concerted effort every September to give back to the communities within the local franchise and the franchisees communities. And I will be really happy to share that last September, 100% of our franchisees participated in this. We do a Mother's Day campaign. And so I think a big part of this is culture, community, and connection. And it's something a little bit beyond the four walls of your spa, right? Which is a pretty important piece. But I could just go on about culture. So
Well, and I spent 25 years in nonprofits, so that give back piece is really important to me and to a lot of the clients that I work with. How are you engaged and involved in your community beyond going to Chamber of Commerce events and BNI meetings? And so that give back piece and having choice of where your team is, like maybe involving your team in making those decisions of what that community involvement looks like. You're going to get buy-in and create that well-knit, close-knit family of your own in your spa location.
yeah, I just learned something about you. I don't know if you know this. Had spent a decade in nonprofit. I was in nonprofit for a very long time in the beginning of my career, before making the shift to franchising. Oh, which actually people always go,
Yes.
"How did you end up here?" I'm like, I don't know. It's not an exciting story, but I was in nonprofit fundraising for many years, and it was just kind of fell into my lap. But I've always wanted to find a brand that aligns with me personally,
Mhm.
and Spavia is one of those brands.
Well, one of my core values, I had to think about it before I became a franchise consultant because I did spend 25 years in nonprofit, starting my own for-profit consulting business. What does that look like? Well, I continue to change lives. That is at the foundation of everything I do. I changed lives as a former licensed social worker in nonprofit, and now I change lives by making an impact to help people make a difference in their lives, the lives of their family, and the lives of people in their community and their employees. So we continue to have a big impact in franchising, Karyn. We share that in common.
We do. We actually have a lot in common. I love that. You learn something new about somebody every time you have a deep conversation with them. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I so appreciate you coming on the Powered by Franchising podcast with me today. Please leave our listeners with any final words about the power behind Spavia Day Spa.
I think I'll leave you with our mission and vision, is to make a positive difference in the world one guest at a time, and to create an experience our guests can't live without. And that really captures who Spavia Day Spa is. And I'd love to chat with you and see if this might be a good fit.
Well, thank you again for joining me today. Thank you for the opportunity to visit two of your Spavia Day Spa locations in Denver, one Spavia Day Spa, one Sway by Spavia. Loved both of those experiences. And yeah, I look forward to presenting Spavia to more of the people who are looking at business ownership. And if any of our listeners are interested, you can visit my website, mintfranchiseconsultants.com, and book an appointment with me, and we can chat further about Spavia Day Spa. Thanks again, Karyn.
Thanks, Laura.